The Puerto Rican cuatro does not have an inventor with a first and last name, because it did not originate as an individual creation, but rather as a process of collective adaptation. The Taino Native American in Puerto Rico took small guitars brought by the Spanish and modified them until they created the foundation of the instrument, an instrument that the Jibaros later continued adapting and refining over time. This was how rural artisans began modifying the small guitars, introduced by the Spanish such as the viola or the barrel guitar, in order to adapt them to the needs of everyday life in the Puerto Rican countryside. The Jibaro took the European idea of the chordophone, but they transformed it profoundly. They made it smaller and lighter so it could be carried on foot or on horseback along the mountain paths. They built it using local woods such as yagrumo, jaguila, or laurel, and they used strings made from animal gut and wire, especially when they did not have access to imported materials. Thus was born an instrument that cannot be attributed to a single creator, but rather to the accumulated creativity of an entire people. The early cuatros had only 4 strings, reflecting an instrument still in its formative stages. Over time, the Jibaro artisans began experimenting with new structures and tunings. During the 18th and 19th centuries, different versions of the cuatro appeared, including one with 5 single strings, another with 10 strings arranged in 5 pairs, and the less common version with 3 pairs of strings, and the uncommon 3-course cuatro. There were regional differences in size, shape, wood, and tuning, which shows that the instrument was alive, in a process of evolution depending on the needs of the musician, and shaped by the hands and ears of rural communities. The first official documents that mention small guitars appear in inventories of rural families between 1750 and 1800, which indicates that by that time the instrument was already widespread and an essential part of musical life in the countryside. The elders say that as the 20th century began, a man appeared, he who changed the sound of the cuatro forever. He was Ladislao Martinez, a craftsman from Cagua. He was born around June of 1898 in the Espinosa neighborhood of Vega Alta, in a humble little country home. And from those simple roots emerged one of the greatest cuatristas Puerto Rico has ever produced. He grew up in a rural Jibaro environment where traditional music was part of daily life. From a young age, he showed musical talent, starting with the guitar alongside his brother Encarnacion, until he developed a deep interest in the Puerto Rican cuatro, the instrument that would define his path. Over time, he learned carpentry and became a luthier, dedicating himself to repairing and building instruments. In the 1920s, already in San Juan, he began modifying cuatros for musicians such as Joaquin Sandia and Carlos Soriano. His small workshop soon became a gathering place for Jibaros who were looking for affordable instruments. Although he was not the one who invented the instrument itself, Ladislao was the one who perfected it. Ladi defined the streamlined shape, the clean, bright sound, the precise dimensions, and the tuning that are considered standard today. Due to his impact, Ladislao Martinez is recognized as the father of the modern cuatro instrument. This modern version of the cuatro with 5 double courses, 10 strings, and an hourglass-shaped body, traditional tuning in G major and refined handcrafted construction became the national instrument of Puerto Rico. Its versatile sound makes it possible to perform complex melodies, rhythmic accompaniments, and virtuosic solos, which makes it a central element of Puerto Rican music. The musical history surrounding the cuatro is inseparably linked to the evolution of Puerto Rican trova. The Puerto Rican trova arose as the voice of the Taino man. Jibaros of the mountain, descendants of the Tainos who hid in the mountain, their songs narrate their daily lives, work, family, and struggles. Their songs could be mischievous, cheerful, and festive, while others were serious and thought-provoking. They were songs created on the spot with no script at all, completely improvised. Because of this, they were called controversies between country singers. It was like a duel, a competition of talent and wisdom. 2 countrymen stood face to face with their cuatro and their gyro to exchange improvised decimas on the spot. One would begin the challenge and the other would answer with wit, each verse sharper and more clever than the last. While one sang with humor or criticism, the other replied with equal skill. Although today we would call it trova, at that time people said they were singing DP. Singing decimas or taking part in a controversia. The accompanying music was the cis. The cis is Puerto Rico's traditional rural music, lively and danceable, played with the cuatro guitar and gyro. It gets its name from its 6/8 time signature, 6 quick beats per measure, and is the characteristic rhythm, with its multiple variations such as the coreao, the villaron, or the cis con mena. Juan Pachín de Jesus, one of the first recognized trovadors on the island around 1865, was a jibaro who sang at cross festivities and wakes, improvising, daring, and critical dissent. He played the cuatro, and his speed and strength in controverso were legendary. I am Pachín de Jesus from the town of Manati, with my cuatro, and my voice I fear no one at all. If anyone wants to fight, let him come with his reason, for in Decima and in Cis I will break his heart. Here there is no priest, nor king, nor mayor, nor councilman. Long live the freedom of the Jibaro troubadour. Anselmo, the blind man of Chalut, traveled along the roads of the central mountains, playing the cuatro and singing decimas and seses. He is said to have been the teacher of Chuto el Decae and one of the first to perform the ses. He died in poverty and obscurity, but his style left a deep mark on the old trova. I am Anselmo, the blind man from Chelis the Capel. Though I have no sight, I have my crystal cuatro. With it I see more than you, for I see with the heart, and in decima and controversia I can give you a lesson. Celines was my guide when I was a little boy. She would take me to the river and show me the little path. Though she has gone to heaven, I still remember her, and that is why this cease carries her name in my song. If anyone wants to fight, let him come with his reason, for even though I cannot see, in song I have clear vision. Chuto el Decae, Bon Juan Esteban Lopez Rivera, is considered the patriarch of trova in music. A farmer and an unbeatable improviser, he traveled the island on foot, challenging every trovador he encountered. He developed styles such as the cis coriao and the cis mape. He died in 1933 without leaving any recordings, but his disciples, among them Ramito, preserved and spread his legacy. Puerto Rico, my beloved homeland, land of my soul and my heart, with your blue sky and your wild sea, I carry you within me with devotion. Even if I find myself far from you in a foreign land without freedom, I always carry your name on my chest, and on my cuatro, your name will be heard. Juan Torres was a trovador from Ponce who addressed social, political, labor, and patriotic themes in his deci. His frankness in criticizing the government led to him being arrested on several occasions, and many of his compositions circulated without an author to avoid reprisals and possible convictions. There is a bird in the cage that cannot even chirp. They put on the muzzle so it wouldn't be able to sing. But when it breaks the bar and can open its wings, that Baruca bird is going to make the whole country tremble. Those were difficult times for the troubadours. Singing about the social and political reality of Puerto Rico could cost them jail time. Many women avoided singing because of the risk of being arrested. The troubadour stepped onto the stage knowing that, depending on what they said, the police could take them away as soon as they finished singing. With the arrival of electricity and the first recordings on 78 RPM discs, this allowed figures from the mountains to become popular stars. Many of these rural singers traveled to San Juan, the capital of Puerto Rico, to record for the first time in history. Ernestina Reyes, La Calandria, considered the queen of trova, was born in Vega Baja and was the first woman who sang trova professionally. She began singing at age 12 and recorded starting in 1938. With her powerful voice and unmistakable style, she won hundreds of controversies against men. Her famous phrase was, "Aquí está la calandria," and it became legendary. She recorded more than 500 songs. Chuto el de Bayamon Jesus Sanchez Erazo, known as the National Trovado, for his deep and powerful voice. He began recording in 1947 and became famous for his aguinaldos and religious deceit. In 1957, he became the first jibaro to sing at Carnegie Hall in New York. Ramito Florencio Morales Ramos was the king of Jibaro Trova. Born in Coguas, he was the first trovador to record. He registered more than 1,500 songs and 80 albums with his high voice and brilliant improvisation. He created classics such as Mi Tierra Mia and El Gibarito, bringing musica gibara to the world. It was during this period that the term trova began to be used widely to refer to this style. The most memorable controversies dealt with social and political issues that made the audience think. In those decimas, they talked about Puerto Rican migration, about whether a woman could defeat a man in a controversy, about who performed the ceases better or improvised with more cleverness. Debates also came up between the old school and the new, and about political topics such as Commonwealth status, independence, statehood, and criticism of governors. In short, trova has always been the voice of the people, direct, unfiltered, and connected to whatever is happening at the moment. The period from the 1930s to the 1950s is considered the golden age of trova, Ismael Gilio Rivera, known for his powerful voice and strong command of improvisation. His recordings circulated throughout the entire island, and his controversies filled theaters. Ramito and Chutoel de Bayuman carried on a war of decimas that lasted 4 years and made them extremely famous, shaping the musical culture of the country. Macedo Jern Rosario had a sweet and rapid voice, and he was a great composer. He took part in memorable controversies against Ramito and La Calandria. He was highly appreciated on radio and television. Claudio Ferrer was known as the wandering Trovadour, an improviser with unmatched talent. He traveled with his cuatro, challenging everyone he met. He recorded little, but he was feared in live performances. Between the 1960s and the 1980s, trova went through a period of decline. Television became the main tool used to devalue our native music. The channels began to use the image of the Jabaro as a comedic character, portraying him in an exaggerated, clumsy, and cartoonish way often, with a heavy accent and placed in ridiculous or absurd situations. They even dressed them in torn and shabby clothing. In reality, Jabaros always performed in their finest clothing, yet producers like Paquito Cordero and Tommy Muniz promoted the opposite image, depicting the Jabaro along with the troubadour and the cuatro player as a crude, uneducated, backward countryman dressed in ragged clothes and used as a source of humor. However, if you look at this 1898 photograph, you can see Taino and Black Puerto Ricans performing in Eusebio Gonzalez S.E. Gilberto Orchestra, and not one of them looks disheveled. It is one of the oldest known photographs of a group of Puerto Rican cuatro players. This distorted view led many people to avoid identifying with one of the most important traditions of our culture. Puerto Rico's native music, the oldest and most deeply rooted in our heritage. That comes from our cultural history, an expression born from our people and from our original roots. Nevertheless, the troubadours did not give up and kept the tradition alive, because trova is the voice of the people turned into song. In Puerto Rico, the first national troubadour competitions were organized to prevent its disappearance and to promote the learning of the decima among the new generations. Chiquitin Garcia was the fastest troubadour when it came to delivering decimas, feared for his sharp tongue and dark humor. Lucilenia Tirado was a Puerto Rican singer, troubadour, composer, actress, and educator. A pioneer in traditional Shibara music and in the decima. She stood out for writing boleros, waltzes, criollas, and cises with themes of love, nostalgia, and rural life. Irma Rodriguez Rivera was a Puerto Rican trovadora, composer, improviser, singer-songwriter, and guitarist. She was known as La Jíbara de Salinas for her deep roots in this southern town. Priscilla Flores was a Puerto Rican singer, trovadora, and composer, a pioneer in the music of the time. She was known as La Alondra de San Lorenzo for her clear, melodious voice that evoked the song of the lark. Later, trova experienced a significant revival. Antonio Caban Baliel Topo was a Puerto Rican singer-songwriter, poet, guitarist, and trovador, a key figure of the new song movement. He fused traditional trova music with social and cultural identity themes. A founder of Hacienda Punto Eno Trosan, he recorded more than 25 albums. His song Ver de Luz is considered the second national anthem in Puerto Rico. Zorita Santiago is one of the essential female voices of Puerto Rico's new song. Known for blending folklore with a strong social conscience, she has created works such as De Volta al Aire, noted for their depth and sensitivity. Her career opened the door for more women to participate as composers and performers in a genre traditionally dominated by men. Andres Jimenez was a pioneer of the new song movement. In the 1970s, he recorded albums where he fused the traditional decima with contemporary rhythms. He succeeded in bringing trova to urban audiences and to new generations. Edwin Colon Sajas, a trovador and director of the Country Workshop, has organized the Puerto Rican Troubadour Week since 2007, promoting international exchanges and workshops for young people. Silverio Pérez, a member of Haciendo Punto en Otro, son de collective founded by Caban Vale, is a modern troubadour who revitalized the CIS with new ideas and poetic lyrics. He has also participated in numerous tributes and projects connected to the new song movement. The first Saturday of October was established in 2012 as National Trova Day. Humberto Martinez, National Troubadour of 2019, focuses trova on themes of migration and identity, with a powerful voice that brings together tradition and modernity in festivals. Today, there are hundreds of troubadours in Puerto Rico, and trova is taking on a renewed direction. New generations are experimenting with styles, fusions, and digital platforms, bringing the Jubarro tradition to broader and more diverse audiences. There are also schools, community programs, and even university courses dedicated to improvised trova. Trova remains alive because it is much more than music. It is the oral memory of the Puerto Rican people. It was born from the Taino who took refuge in the mountains and was passed down from generation to generation by the Jubarro until it reached us today. Trova is the conscience and highest expression of rural society and the way a people sings its social truths, its joys, its history, and its identity without any repression. Even in present-day Puerto Rico, at any country festival, you can still see two troubadours improvising décimas until dawn, accompanied by the bright sound of a cuatro, whether modern or traditional. Improvisation in trova is important for society because it preserves culture, gives the people a voice, encourages critical thinking, and strengthens Puerto Rican identity. It is freedom of expression turned into music. Listening to the old trova of Puerto Rico is like opening a historical chest and discovering what was happening on the island at that time. That is why preserving the music of our trovadores is so important. If you made it this far, follow us and give this page a like so you can keep learning about your Puerto Rican culture.